Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Mighty Jupiter and the Mooncake Band titled Who Shot Ron Swanson in the Clear off of the Forced Fun for the Just OK Life album. And if we switch over to here, got the album out on the screen. I have been advised that apparently this was mixed by Dave Rhodes, who is an award-winning producer and engineer, so that's really cool. And it's great to hear fellow Kiwis being involved in music and stuff like that. I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to checking out this track. I think it's the first time that I've heard of it, if I'm not mistaken, and we're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. What do we got? Those pads are intriguing. There's really satisfying vocal harmonies there, you know? I feel like I'm tripping out though, so I'm having a listen to the low vocals and I can hear the words that are being sung and I appreciate the vocal harmonies, especially that bass resonance. And I think that they have a great presence in the track and, you know, where in regards to like the guitars, the drums, the synths, the bass, etc. I'm just not getting all the words through clearly. But this almost sort of like solo section here with the keys is really nice. I mean, it's just an incredibly pretty sounding track. There's just an inherent sweetness to the way things have been produced. Is it a very similar chord progression the entire time? That's awesome. That's fantastic. No, I think that's a really great first impression to their work. I think I kind of get what the track is about now, and we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion, my review of this track from an act named Mighty Jupiter and the Mooncake Band, titled Who Shot Ron Swanson in the Claire, off of the Forced Fun for the Just Okay Life album. Now, Ron Swanson, I kind of remember who Ron Swanson is. I'm just not sure specifically where they're related to. The overall message, I kind of think it relates to sort of, I suppose, looking at your own life as you grow, not knowing what what you've got when you're young, and sort of how life can throw you through a whole series of loops, and trying to find serenity with everything that has happened, and just kind of trying to dodge all those dangers and stuff like that. I kind of get the impression that this track is discussing, the anxieties that can come from the different decisions that are made, and how it can feel, when you realize you've actually made it out of that situation alive, I suppose. And I think there is like an inherent joy to the way that it's sung. A lot of it is very majorish. The male and female vocal harmonies that we have throughout a lot of this are wonderful. They're very friendly and soft and palatable, and they've got the sweetness that I was discussing before. There's so many pretty kind of almost not ambient textures, but it's just, you can tell that they've tried to make this a really pleasing experience to listen through. And I think that part of that has been the mixture of how the vocals are. There are sometimes you have the verses and different chorus parts, but they also allow plenty of other instrumental breaks to be able to appreciate the other ingredients in there as well. And I like that balance structurally. I just want to say that the way that we crafted those main vocal parts and the way we stuck them together and filled that frequency spectrum made them a really effective combined leads that always held their presence. Even if I didn't necessarily get all the words through, they can clearly sing. I think if they had been trying to deliberately kind of make things super clear, they could have. I think there's meant to be sort of more of a smoothness, kind of a mistiness to the feel of it. And I enjoy the fact that this is almost sort of swirling to the entire piece. Stylistically, I just think that sounds almost like these are sort of like thoughts and dreams we're having in our head and everything like that. And there's sort of like a magical element to it. So I think that the way that we sung makes sense with the lyrics, that kind of expression of it, and it was very pleasant to listen to. The track itself at 4 minutes, as I mentioned, is well structured with the way we have those verses and choruses and those other instrumental elements there, and several different lead sections where there's sort of like arpeggiated kind of key parts, or sort of like even some sort of bass parts in the low end there where we're moving between root notes and sort of parts of the scales and modes. I think that there was never a dull point, primarily because of the variety of different bits and bobs and how things took over from each other. But it was also things like how I appreciate how tight the percussive performance was. I think that the way that we played was great in regards to sort of sticking with those quarters, eighths, and sixteenths. But then like the tom fills as well, how they weren't too sharp. They just smoothly went into the next part there, even though there were some really quick bits. It was tight. They pocketed when they needed to, but they also had a bit of zazz every now and then. There was also this thickness and fullness to the bass tone that, like, after just having another quick listen, I can really hear that. It's just got a whole lot of character to it. And I think that niched really well with the sidechain kicks. Just the bass and drums were in sync here rhythmically, and they paid attention to each other, were sort of aware, and that added a further sense of cohesion and chemistry to the experience. The way that the distorted guitars had this kind of gritty kind of grayness to them, but they also had like a nice pleasing glow in that mid-range, further I think enhanced some of the textures we had in those vocal parts and elevated those in a way which was very positive, especially with a lot of the major components within those triads and stuff like that. And there was a sense of inherent quirkiness with some of those synth melodies, the vibrato that we had on them, the almost sort of theremin-ish kind of approach to some parts there. Just the way they were very kind of poignant and almost sort of ghostly, almost if these were the memories that we were having, kind of looking back at the ghosts of the past and being glad that we dodged them. There was, as I mentioned, there was some pleasing arpeggios on the keys and certain components that like worked well over the rest of the elements that knew when to sort of pocket and pull back when it was appropriate. And you just have a song where there's far more than what I've described, but I feel as if it's just kind of needing multiple listens through a track like this to really appreciate everything. And there was some more sort of subtle kind of guitar leadish kind of octave parts in mid to higher range, as well as some arpeggiated parts that they were doing in the upper ranges just when they had room within the stereo field as well, because things surrounded you in the headphones. And that's usually a post-production thing, but I think also it's just the arrangement with the way things were leveled, not just with the vocal harmonies, but everything else. We had a really full-sounding track in regards to the highs, mids, and lows. Things were really eloquently stacked in a way that was pleasing to the ear and made sense compositionally. Theme-wise, I think that the sticking to the major, I think the song would have sounded a bit too spooky if it had been minorish, especially if we hadn't had that sort of harmonic connection between what the guitars and keys and synths and bass were doing with the vocal harmonies as well. I think that if you had stuck to too many sort of minorish kind of chords there, that reverb and delays and sort of mistiness might have become a little bit kind of like, oof, I don't know how I feel about this. But again, because there is that warmth and everything is kind of more uplifting, I suppose. It is almost like we feel that sense of gratitude and a weight off our shoulders that it's expressed within the track. It's a very light sounding song. It never becomes too dark or kind of grey or dismal. It's always trying to sort of like push further and kind of make it almost sort of bouncy, but in a way where it's not too severe with the attack of the notes. So it's just almost like things are kind of filtered in a way where, like, you know, it would be if there was less kind of, I suppose now I'm kind of like maybe repeating myself, but it's a song that appreciates your time. There's no filler. And I think the focus on creating kind of jangly, kind of catchy elements suits it, because it's got this, it's almost like the music can tell you if you miss some of the words, what's going on. The studio recording, mixing and mastering is solid. It really is. Like, I think, again, any decisions which what I mentioned about like the clarity of the vocals were deliberate, and I appreciate, and I think they did well with that. I'm happy with them, don't get me wrong. I think that the way they're level with the guitar bass drums, various synth patterns, the keys, etc., are really satisfying. There were no issues hearing the different ingredients within the track. It was a very tight mix, like glued quite well, but I feel like that consistency is like a stylistic thing. Like, we don't always need a massive amount of dynamic range, especially when the elements within the piece aren't super sharp or like they aren't aggressive. Sometimes if you have a super heavy sounding track and you just need it to kind of come down a little bit to be able to appreciate the next point it goes, kind of slams you. But with a song like this, it's just nice. It just sounds really nice. So it's okay if it's more kind of smooth in that regard. But I think it was nice and low without pumping, and I think the vocalists didn't need any assistance post. They just clearly sing. This is my review, though, this track from an act named Mighty Jupiter and the Mooncake Band, titled Who Shot Ron Swanson and Leclerc, off of the Forced Fun for the Just Okay Life and album, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias and Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.